All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast with your host, Richard Food from richardfood.com. And today, guys, I have an Irish sensation on. She's an international coach, she's an author, a speaker, and a pioneer for personal transformation and lifestyle design. She's also the host, and she is the conscious female, and she hosts her own TV show, the Conscious Female TV show. She helps women overcome their deepest fears, really break through their limiting beliefs and release their blockages so they can become connected to who they really are so they can find their voice. Guys, I want you to welcome Neve Cronin onto the show. Neve, good to have you on.
Wow, thank you so much, Richard. It's so great to be here, and what an awesome intro.
It's what I have to do for the Irish sensation I got on here, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's one of the best intros I've had, so thanks for that.
You're welcome. It's just a start, a taster of things to come. And so, Neve, could you just give us a bit more, information about who you are for the people who haven't heard about you before yet and your work?
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for that. So, I guess for those who don't know me, my name is Neve, and really, I'm just an Irish girl who has embarked on her own personal journey. And in doing so, I've been in the corporate world, and as I began to learn more about who I was and began to integrate aspects of myself, I realized that my highest value and my true calling was really to connect more deeply with myself, and in doing so, empower others to do the same. So and just over a year ago, I launched the Conscious Female, which is really a movement. It's not really like me being a conscious female. That's not what it is. What it is about empowering women to be more consciously aware of who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and to really step into themselves and to lead a whole new way for women to do business, and men too, right? And there's a whole new way emerging. In fact, it's already here, and it's a new way of leadership, a new way of creating and manifesting, and a whole new way of doing business. And some of what I share sometimes is a little bit out there, or if you want to say woo-woo. and because what I do is I act as a bridge, because I want to bridge you could say, spiritual and business realms, so that we can become more integrated and even merge even a higher vibrational reality that we've actually just shifted into, whether we realize it or not. And how can we learn to be in that reality, and how can we bridge that from where we are right now into this new way of being? And that's in a nutshell what it is that I do.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. And I can imagine, you just came out of the woo-woo tent, right? From Secrets in the Garden. So I love that you bring that up and you share that because, Neve, I mean, when I looked you up and I started researching into what you did, you're similar to me, right? You're just like, I'm the ultimate man, and I help guys do that. And you help women become the conscious female, the conscious woman that they really are. And I think that's amazing. And I want to dig in a little bit into your story and how you became, your own conscious female, right? Your own conscious woman. Where did that all start with? Like, how did you even notice that there was a bridge that needed to be built and I guess crossed?
Wow. Yeah, this is an amazing, how much time do we have? Because it's a bit of a story, but I can try and break it down and make it a little bit shorter for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in Ireland, and grew up in a beautiful household, and in a very, I guess, a Catholic family, as any normal Irish family would be. And in my late to mid-teens, I suffered with anxiety and depression. And I guess it was that point in time where I was really trying to discern who I was, but I didn't really have the freedom to express that. And I feel that at an early age, I shut that down. And as a result, I became quite depressed. And so throughout my mid-teens into my early 20s, they were probably one of the challenging periods in my life. And because I didn't have the mechanisms or the coping mechanisms to deal with what I was going through, what happened is over the years, and that depression or the suppression of myself developed into chronic illness.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to develop all sorts of chronic illnesses, such as adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, where I kept getting bouts of illness where I couldn't get out of the bed. And this progressed to get worse and worse over the years. Now, parallel to that, even though I was going through these bouts of illness, I was actually really forging ahead in my corporate career. So when I left university, I fell into the software industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked my way up in software and in software management. And I left Ireland about 5 years ago to move here to Australia. In trying to, I guess, find myself or find my purpose. But what happened was I got here and I fell quite quickly back into the lifestyle that I led in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell into the trap. I got an amazing job here with one of Fortune 500 companies in Australia. And I saw I had an opportunity to really climb the ladder, and quite quickly.
Yeah.
And being the only women in the company at that time, I fell into the trap that I felt like I had to really prove myself. So what happened was I really stepped into, I guess, the masculine or even the synthetic masculine, where I felt I had to forge ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked really hard to get to the top. And you know what? Guess what I did? I got there. I was managing within 2.5 years. I was managing a channel sales business across Australia, New Zealand. And but you can ask, I guess, to what cost or at what cost. So about 3 years ago, I physically, mentally, and spiritually burnt out. And I found myself in a cardiac ward at the age of 27.
Wow.
And I guess that was really where I hit my all-time low, because I had been struggling with these bouts of illnesses for quite some time, and really not listening, because my body was screaming out to me to really listen and come back to myself. And it was actually screaming at me that my soul was actually off path, that I was actually on a synthetic timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I was lying in that bed, I was in a ward where people were, after having severe heart attacks, they were having heart surgery, and then there was me. And I realized that I only had two choices. Either I give up, which is what I really felt like my body was doing. It was just really giving up. Or I take things into my own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, obviously, I chose the latter. And I knew that there had to be something that was triggering this. There had to be an innate trigger or something that was causing the illness. And that's when I embarked on the inner journey, and I started to do the inner work. So that was just almost 3 years ago. So I embarked on this journey, and I guess, when I guess I use the metaphor like cleaning a house, right? You start in one room of the house. So I started looking at my physical health and my lifestyle, and I started to look at my diet.
Yep.
So I stopped drinking alcohol, and being Irish, that was a big thing. And I started looking at my diet. I started eating organic and started feeding my body with food that was nourishing for my health. And within 2 or 3 months, I saw a miraculous healing in my body.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you start to clean one room, it leads to the next. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole a little bit deeper and started to look at my emotions, my thoughts, and even my connection to, and you can call it spirituality, but even my connection to myself, or that higher power, that infinite power that is within you.
Yeah.
And I went through what some would call a spontaneous awakening, where you suddenly have an awareness of your connection with everything, and an awareness that there is something that exists beyond what the mind can comprehend. There's something that exists that we can feel, that we can connect to, that is far more powerful than we can ever imagine.
Wow.
And I started to connect to that and started to integrate some of this wisdom that we all have, that we can all access through our heart. And that's where I began to integrate a knowing and some of the abilities that we all have. And began to understand, I guess, our deep connection with ourselves and our infinite nature and our connection to the earth.
Right.
And in doing so, I realized that I really had a deeper calling. And some may call it a purpose. But I believe that everything I share is just really my own understanding of these things. And I ask everyone to discern their own truth.
Mm-hmm.
But from my experience, I feel that in coming into this reality, I chose a set trajectory, or I chose a certain purpose or learning for myself. And that was for me to come here and to really integrate all aspects of my being in this reality, and to be an anchor for that and bring that through, so that I could be a mirror for everyone else to show that it's possible for them too.
Wow. Huge mission. Huge
mission, but we're all on that, right? Like anyone that's doing the work, just like you and all these people listening to your show, they're doing the work. And I feel that we're moving away from and we can get into this in a minute, but many of us who are on this path, or particularly if we're coaches, mentors, or we're in the service-based industry, we have a very empathetic nature. So we can fall into the trap, and I did myself, of feeling like we're here to help and heal everyone, or to save the world, right?
Yep.
I actually believe that it's really about us going within ourselves, and that finding the medicine within us and empowering others to do the same. So it's not really about helping them. It's more about being the example, being the change, and that's the new way of leadership, is leadership from within. It's paving that path by being it, not by doing. Doing comes next. And this is what I teach. And it's actually almost like a reversal of what we've known in the 3D reality up until now. Because what we've been taught is to take action and then be.
Yep.
So we need to take action towards our goals, and then we'll be who we want to be. But what if it was the reversal? What if the new way of being is about how can I embody spiritually, emotionally, and physically who I am right now, and then be and create a space to receive wisdom to take inspired action?
This is it. I love what you're saying. It's amazing. And it's true. It's true. And this is why I think we're so aligned, is that, and I listened to a video that you put out recently about talking about a cup, right? Where it's all about being. It's about, so often we think sacrifice, right? The old school of thinking was we got to sacrifice ourselves so then we can help other people and people will love us for that. But then you sacrifice yourself for what? You don't get anything from it. And then when you sacrifice yourself for that one person, you can't serve all those other people. Right? You can't serve all these other people. And what you're saying is, if I can summarize it, is that you have to work on not sacrificing, but pouring within yourself, pouring into yourself, so that, as to take your words, which I've used as well, is that you fill up your cup, you overflow, then you can give so much because you have so much to give. And if you don't give, then that overflow is just going to get wasted, isn't it?
Exactly. And in that video, it's quite interesting. I had so many women contact me after that video, because so what I was sharing with them is, and I do it myself, and I'm just integrating this new way, right, myself. But when we're out there, we're speaking, we're coaching, we're mentoring, and we're really empowering other people, because we feel that within ourselves, because we feel the results and we see how we're manifesting, how we're creating, and we're being the success ourselves. Then what we want to do when we stand in front of a group of people, or when we're on a show like this, or if we're working one-on-one, we want to give that feeling to them. We want to give that away, right? Because we want them to experience it.
Yep.
But what if giving that away, we're actually disempowering them because we're not allowing them to experience their own empowerment? And then we're depleting ourselves. So it's actually almost like, what if it was the other way around? What if we had to simply just be the vibration, be and embody that empowerment within ourselves? And just by being in the space with them, we allow them the permission to go within themselves and find the medicine and find what they need to be that too. And this is looking at the laws of vibration, okay? And I say laws because there's laws, but there's also the laws that govern the universe. And the universe is based on, this is a light-based universe, so it's based on the what would you say? The constructs of light, right? And because of that, it's really about vibration. So if we understand how vibration works, then we can completely let go and allow for the magic to happen. So sitting in front of you right now, okay, if we were working together, all I need to do is be and embody that vibration of what it is that my client is seeking. And the laws of vibration state that when you embody that, then if they're in a lower vibrational state, if they're feeling fear, guilt, sorrow, whatever it is, then they will have to let go of whatever that is within themselves in order to match a higher vibration.
Yep.
Whereas if I sat here and I went to where you are at, if I allow myself to lower my vibration to meet you and try and give you some of my energy, I'm actually lowering my own vibration. You're going to stay where you're at, okay?
Right.
And I'm disempowering you because I'm not allowing you to go and seek that within yourself. And then I'm emptying my cup, and then I become depleted, I become worn out. And this is what I want to teach. And it's really important for men and women, because we as empathetic beings can become quite burnt out spiritually, emotionally, physically doing this work. And you're a leader, and I'm sure many of the other men that are watching it, because these are I'm assuming you're working with the men that are going to impact many other people.
Correct.
So it's important that we as the leaders understand this and embody it and lead from within.
Yeah. Oh my God, Niamh, this has been mind-blowing. It's been mind-blowing. And I love how you mentioned something really important here. And I don't know if the listeners or the viewers have got this, is that it's about creating that space, creating that what I would call the safe space, so that you can then go deep, basically it's like you're letting the client go deep into the rabbit hole to find themselves, and they get themselves back out of it. And you just create that space for them to let them go that far down and to find what it is that they need to find that light, to find that fire within them, and then they can bring themselves back up, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's just about being a mirror, really. And embodying it and finding that within yourself, because normally the people that will come into our space of being will be mirroring an aspect within ourselves that we have already embodied, or we've already integrated. Okay. So all we need to do is go to that part within ourselves, love and accept that, and embody that vibration, and it will allow them to go within themselves and to love and accept that part of themselves. So it's really about us understanding that in this new way, it's about being first. And then from that space, we allow for the I guess the miraculous magic. And it's really not miracles. Like miracles are actually can happen every day, and we call them miracles because it's outside what we perceive as possible. But what if it was all possible? What if that was just a program? And what if we were the miraculous makers ourselves, that we were the miracle, and that we had the power to allow and create anything that we want?
Wow. this this interview, Neve, I've just it's just blown my mind. I've never like thought we'd be able to get to this deep, and it's an absolute honor to just be able to talk to you here and just listen to you open up. And from what it sounds like, it's a lot of, when you say being, and this is what's coming through my head here, is that, for a lot of people, they're afraid to just be. Right? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, jump in, is that, do you find that even maybe for yourself, you're afraid to be because you don't know what's going to happen. There's so much uncertainty on what being will actually be like. There's so much unknown, isn't it? And that's why I think most people are afraid to just be, right?
I love that you touched on this. I really do, because being means that we need to trust and surrender to an infinite power that exists beyond what we can comprehend, right?
Yeah.
And I've had many experiences in my life where my higher most self, if you want to call it, or that infinite power, manifest situations where I had to completely let go and surrender and allow. Right, but you guys don't have. You can learn from my experience and not have to go to that extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really about how can I be who it is that I am, being authentic in myself, and then trust and allow that whatever you need to receive to take the next step or to take action is going to come from that place. And quite often what happens is, this is, if, we get into manifestation, is we quite often, we start the process, we move into that place of being, we embody the emotions of already having that thing that we desire. And then what happens is we become our own block because we try to control it. We try and control how that, say for example, we're manifesting more money, how that money comes to us.
Yeah.
But what if there was far more money than we had ever imagined coming our way? And what if it was coming to us in many ways that we hadn't even comprehended? Then what we're doing is we're becoming our block.
Wow.
Whereas if we allow ourselves to be in that space, embody it, and become the magnet and open ourselves up to receive inspired wisdom, receive information from the universe, because the universe speaks to us all the time.
Yeah.
It speaks to us through books, it speaks to us through signposts, it speaks to us all the time. So if we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, then we will receive the wisdom and the knowing on what action we need to take. And then we take an action, we make a phone call based on an inspired action, and that leads us down the path into receiving. And this is what I'm teaching is there's also almost a new way of creating as we're moving into, if you want to call it even a fifth dimensional vibration, which is overlaying on the 3D and 4D reality in which we've been living.
Right.
Up until. And what's happening now is where a new vibrational existence is actually merging as an overlay on top. Okay. And those of us feeling and receiving this will, and I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. Maybe it might help and help the listeners. So when we moved from analog TV into digital,
Yep.
we were given a certain amount of time, maybe a couple of months, in order to move from analog to digital, right? Mm-hmm. So what's happening right now is we're receiving this new vibration, and we're being given this time lapse to integrate this new way of being in order to tune in, like a dial, like on a radio, to tune into this new frequency. Okay?
Yeah.
So we're in that transition right now. But at some point in time, there's going to be a cutoff. And the way we used to do things, the way we used to manifest, the way we used to do business, leadership, the way we used to create, that's no longer going to work. Because we need to integrate and access this new vibrational way of being.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and some people are already experiencing it. I have clients coming to me and they're saying, I'm doing everything I was always doing. For some reason, the money isn't coming in. I'm not attracting my ideal clients, and I'm doing everything right. What is going on? And they're feeling there's something more, something deeper, and they don't yet have the words to explain what it is they're feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's where I guess I come in, because I had to go through that process, integrate this information, and then find the language to in order to interpret it to others.
Wow, wow. Well, Neve, I mean, like this is just like I kept saying throughout already. It's mind blowing, right? It's such a mind blowing interview, and it really hurts me that we have to start wrapping up the show here because I think we could just go more and more about this, and
Yeah,
so I think we're probably gonna have to get you back on another episode so that we could talk more about this, right?
love that.
Yes, we're organized for that, and so as we wrap up the show here, Neve, we usually go through what we call the quick fire questions, right? Woo. And so one of our favorite questions here on the show is what we call the time travel moment, where if you could go back to those moments where I guess maybe when you moved over from Ireland to here, or maybe when you were in the bed, right, at the hospital, you know, what's the one thing you would want to tell yourself in one of those moments, and which moment would you go to?
Top of my head,
Yep.
I would say to myself, feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear for so long stopped me from doing everything that I actually wanted to do, and it caused me to live a life that I really, really did not want to live, which is why I got so depressed and suffered with anxiety, because I was living a life through other people rather than having courage to really step out and be myself and to follow what my intuition was saying. So, and they say fear is unexpressed excitement. So if we really realize that that was universal energy coming through us, and that was our real authentic self coming through, and we just allowed ourselves to breathe through that and actually step out, I feel I would have I would have got to where I am right now a lot earlier. Everything's perfect, right? We're all where we need to be.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Love it. And so our next question, Neve, is, so obviously you're the conscious female, right? You're all, you've trained yourself up to be more conscious about what's going on. Could you share with the listeners here, what's one of the personal habits you have that's contributed to you to stay and continue to come back to being conscious?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I call it indirect manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the work that we do behind the scenes, which is really about integrating, allowing us to be more of ourselves. So I have I have a morning routine. So I set up my day so that I can, some people call it meditating, but I like to be in nature. I like to go down the beach and like to ground into the earth. And I have a practice which I teach my clients about how we can anchor in the new earth energy through us and embody that vibrationally. Yeah. And I spend 10-15 minutes really connecting to my heart space and opening up to receive wisdom from within, because quite often we seek it outside of ourselves from other friends, mentors, peers, or even in books or documentaries. But that practice every day opens us up to receive more of our infinite wisdom. And so I do, that is a practice that I do, and I do a lot of intention setting. And setting intentions from this new space from within myself. And then I go through a surrendering process. So I let go and surrender. And this is something that has brought some amazing things into my life. And I know that, and I see now the results mirroring back to me in my physical reality. So.
Oh, wow. Everyone has a morning routine, and I love it that you shared yours. It's awesome, awesome. So, Neve, you've read a lot of books, right? If there's one book that you could recommend that's a total must read for everyone listening here, what would that book be?
Okay, so I do have a book that, and it was probably one of the books that really helped me to really awaken and more to myself. But I just want to share something with you, if that's okay, before I mention this. And that's that I feel that we're all starting to turn more inward nowadays, and I find myself listening more to this space within myself more and more. Because when we read a book, or when we read, even if it's something that we're feeling from within, what happens is, and I have a pair of sunglasses here,
Yeah.
but what we're doing is we're seeing that information through a certain lens. And what I'm doing for myself right now is I'm seeking some confirmations and wisdom within me. And then I'll go and read a book. So I'm almost like becoming a student of my own wisdom, if that makes sense. But for the purpose of the question, long answer to a short. There's a book called Our Universal Journey by George Kavassilis. And if those of you are ready, this book will certainly blow your mind, because you won't be able to comprehend it with your mind alone. You'll need to connect to your heart to really understand the deep concepts of the universe and who we are as multidimensional beings. So this book is certainly, like you said, a mind blower. So check it out, guys.
Awesome. We'll add that into the show notes below. And so just only a few more left here, Niamh. Is the next one is an interesting one, and that we've spoken about a bit before, is, in the modern man's world today, Niamh, it feels like men's been left behind over 30 years. And so there's some stuff missing. And from a conscious woman, from an empowered woman, what do you think an empowered woman thinks a ultimate man, a modern man today needs or is missing? What's that one thing that you think that they're missing?
Wow. So we could do a whole show on this one. So I guess what's happening for both men and women right now is we're beginning to let go of what we call the synthetic feminine and synthetic masculine attributes within ourselves. Okay, synthetic masculine. So over eons of time, the feminine chose to suppress. We chose to suppress our natural feminine nature to allow for this synthetic masculine to rise, right? And the synthetic masculine, as you can see, is physically manifested in the control systems, the finance systems. And what's happening is we're moving through this transitional period right now where the earth and the universe is actually letting go of the synthetic, and that might actually end up materializing as a financial system dissolving, but also the synthetic feminine is also dissolving. So for men listening to this, is that in the next coming years or months, we're going to see quite a transition. And what it's asking is for the men to go and seek the natural man and the natural attributes of what a real man is from within, right? And start finding that power within themselves. But what's also happening is, we can get into this if we have another show, is that the feminine chose this, right? We chose this, and I can put my hand up, and I know that we chose to allow ourselves to give. So the feminine naturally embodies the creative, powerful force to manifest, right? So what we've done over eons of time is we've allowed and given that to the masculine in order for them to create and to really be the leaders in this world, right? But what's happening now is women are stepping back into their power. They're awakening and realizing, oh wait, I've got this creative essence within myself. And what's happening is the men are realizing that they need to go and find that power within themselves. So they're having to integrate their feminine, and they're having to rebalance the masculine and feminine within themselves. But it's also happening for us, because I'm having to reintegrate the masculine, so that we can both become empowered beings side by side, wholly integrated, masculine and feminine within us. And from that space, we enter into a new whole relationship of being masculine and feminine, empowered beings. So there's actually, not only is there balance restored within each and every one of us, but we then work together to restore balance in this world.
Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing. And Niamh, just 2 questions left here as we wrap up this show. So how would you describe what is true consciousness, right? True consciousness. How would you describe that?
So I'm gonna challenge this one, and again, this is like a big topic in itself. But so I believe that consciousness is actually the mind construct on a mass scale. Okay, but we always also exist in the heart. Okay.
Mm.
And we exist, and the heart connects us with our soul essence, the part of us that contains all the knowledge and wisdom in the entire universe, right? So I actually I believe that we as spiritual human beings even exist beyond consciousness itself. And I believe we're coming into a period in time where we're beginning to drop from our heads into our hearts and actually accessing a version or a wisdom that exists beyond consciousness. Because consciousness has been a tool or a method that has been manipulated for quite some time by beings or control systems that want us to play small, right? And that's another thing we can get into. But it's about understanding that it's really about merging our mind with our heart, so we begin to merge our consciousness with our soul.
Wow. And then what do you call that?
The only thing that I guess I can put to that is, I guess, that integrated higher aspect of ourselves that is all knowing, that part of us that is wholly integrated and not separate. So it is everything. I am that I am, everything.
Oh, wow. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And our final question here, Neve, to wrap up the show is, if you had 30 seconds left to live and you're surrounded by your family, your friends, people that you've impacted, right?
Wow.
What's the one piece of advice you would give them?
Be yourself. Be authentic. Because everyone else is taken. You've got your own unique light that only you can bring into this reality. And if you don't do it, then the world will never see that and will never receive that. So, and I think that's the whole way forward for all of us as leaders, is to be authentic and be ourselves and have the courage to do it, because that's the ultimate challenge for us, is to be who we are.
Amazing, Neve. Amazing. Thank you so much for honoring us here and just sharing your absolute heart and your soul, your consciousness, and being whole here for everyone to just be the example for everyone here and for myself listening and being here and just interacting with you. So thank you so much for being on the show, Neve.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, yeah, it really has. It really has. And so, Neve, for the people who want to learn more about what you do and your work, where's the best place for them to go?
They can find me over at theconsciousfemale.com, and they can check out some videos or subscribe to see some content if it resonates with them. And that would be great. Awesome.
We'll put that into the show notes. And so, guys, this wraps up another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast. Remember to head on over to iTunes to go rate and subscribe to this so that we can actually get Neve's message out there. Her message needs to get out there into the world. We don't want it to be a world's best kept secret anymore. We need to get her message and everyone else's message on this show out there, because we just have to, we have to raise that vibration up to that fifth level, to that fifth dimension. And, we just need to get it out there. So make sure you do that. And of course, head on over to richardfood.com to get more information and the show notes on the show. And this wraps it up. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for being on. And remember to go out there, go live with love and go smash it. And I'll see you in the next one.